Hello there. Is anybody here? Checking on my everything. Hang on a second. There we go. Hey there. Hi, Paul. Hi, Hong. How you guys doing? Um, I'm really hoping that we can wrap this whole thing up this month. I know a lot of people are frustrated with the timing, but it's primarily been Wooten, Lannon, and Caton. And so that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, good. I'm glad everything's working out all right. While we're waiting for folks, anybody have any questions or anything you want to bring up today? Hi, Steve. Present. Um, Paul, since you're here, that the meeting we're having with the Swiss accountant, is that for Tuesday? Is that right? Okay. Okay, Hong, no, I'm glad you brought it up, Hong. Um, Basically what I've been trying to do, I've been trying to keep as little money in my account as possible for two reasons. One, I don't like handling other people's money, but also two, after talking to my accountant, he said that anything left in your account after the first of the year, there's going to be tax. You're going to get a corporate tax on, and so I've been hoping that I can empty the thing, but I probably underestimated a little too much. But yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up because this is one of the things I think that Paul and Hader and Fadi and Donald, I think, and Abdul have been working on is looking into having a uh, a corporation set up, a Lyrique corporation set up in Switzerland. I think after Tuesday, Paul's going to been taking a lead on that, and he'll be able to tell us more about it. So that will be, I mean, for our next venture, that will be what we're going to have to be looking at. Hey, Clyde, how you doing? I just sent you an email. Oh, hang on a second. Huh. I got some noise coming from somewhere. If I can hear it, it's got to be loud. But I guess it's not me this time. How you doing, Robert? Okay, well let's get going. Here we've got. I mentioned a Zoom meeting we're having on Tuesday with the accountant, the Swiss accountant. Uh, Paul, did you want to say anything about that? Did you want to any clarification or does anybody have any questions that we could ask them? And I think some of the things that Hong was concerned about, like the VAT, that would be something that I think might might help. The one of the reasons is that I think with a Swiss entity, we can get that back. Hi, Micro. Yeah. Um, I don't know. You know, there may be, but I don't know how. Right now, it's 7.7%, and next year it's going to be 8.1%. So there's sort of a even more motivation for us to get rid of it. Here's what happens with the VAT. Um, Agenor, like most everything in Swiss watchmaking, has different parts built for them. Let me give you a simple example: the hands. So they need the hands. So Fiedler sends them the hands to Agenor. They add the VAT to that. I think, and this is something. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Yeah, what Paul said. Um, and what I'm hoping is that we can, once something is exported and we have a Swiss entity, all of that VAT can be pulled back. And so if we're talking about, let me see, on an $8,000 watch, $616 goes to VAT. So, I mean, that would be nice to get back. Right now, I don't know how to do it. And like Paul said, we'll find out more, we hope. But that's the situation. See, this is what I thought. I didn't I didn't factor in that every time one of the subcontractors created something for Agenor, or when they send the cases to Agenor, they're going to be tagging on the 7.7%. I think well, maybe they won't. No, that I don't think they won't when they ship them, because we already paid for all of the cases, a lot too, I might add, a lot more than I wanted to. So I don't know whether you can recover it. Uh, when I was in Europe, we bought a cuckoo clock, and the person at the store where we got the cuckoo clock said, "Look, if we send it to you directly, you don't have to pay VAT. If you take it with you and pay for it now at the airport." Well, it's a great big cuckoo clock, so we said, "Go ahead and ship it," and they didn't have to have any VAT. So this is what I figured. Well, we're not going to have any VAT, but I didn't figure that each one of these little things that we paid for as we went along, there is VAT. So if you can figure that one out, I believe me, if we have two watches next year with 100 each, there's $129,000 or 129,000 Swiss francs in VAT. That's a lot of money. And if we can figure a way to get that back, I'd be more than happy. This time, no, I don't, I just don't see it. Okay. So that's where we are on that. Um, how you doing, Sean? Yeah, I think, Hong, this is my understanding, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong. Paul may not know for sure either, but the hope is that we'll be able to get all of that VAT, and and it's not just in one place. It's from all of these different little subcontractors that it's sort of mixed in, and when they send something to Agenor, it's added because it's from one Swiss place to another Swiss place. Hey, Nigel, how you doing? Um, Hi, Don. Donald. Yeah, Hong, I'm afraid that's what it looks like right now. Um, I don't like it better than anybody else, but this is why I think Paul and Fadi and Hayter and Abdul wanted to see if they could do something, if they could set something up so we didn't have to pay it, or we'd get it back. That's the other thing. That's the other problem with it, is that on these next watches we may have to pay it anyway, and then, but if we have a Swiss entity of some sort, we can then get it back when the watches are shipped. But then, but then it's all, we've already paid it, and it's, I don't know what. I guess it'll be sitting in the account. Anyway, what does Paul say? Let's say usually if a corporation is VAT registered, we can reclaim it, but who knows in Switzerland? Thank you, Paul. I hope you're right. I really do. Are we on schedule for casing so far? Okay. Hong, you're ahead of us. Today, I am writing a very clear and strong letter to Wooten, Lannon, and Caton saying, look, now they said they'd be all finished by the end of November. November is past. So tomorrow, I give them a little time, but then tomorrow, the first thing they're going to see is my email, because I'm going to put it together today with copies to Aganar. And basically, I'm saying, look, guys, get these things done, because we need to get everything shipped before the beginning of the year. And that's, I mean, in my case, there are two reasons for it. One, I want to get everybody their watch, which I really want to happen. Believe me, then I'll be done with it. The other thing is that if there's any money left in that account at the end of the year, I got to pay corporate income tax on it. That's according to my accountant, because I met with my accountant. He said, get the thing emptied as much as possible. And so that's the plan right now. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, let me talk about the oh yeah, Paul, I agree. We're getting a deal. Those of you who got multiple watches are not going to have a problem selling them. Somebody who contacted me directly, I said I put them on a waiting list. Well, they jumped the line and contacted somebody directly, and to get one. There's a guy in Europe, I think it's Germany, but I'm not positive, who really wanted one. And so what I've been trying to do, if anybody has an extra one they want to sell, I'm trying to set them up with somebody in the same or a nearby country. So Victor had an extra one, so he contacted this guy. They're in contact, and so if he wants to sell it, then he can. I've got somebody, an old friend that who I ran into him at the Watch Time show, who wants it in the worst way, so I'll sell him my extra one. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. My plan is this: I'm going to sell my extra one, and then I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it for the first payment for the next two we're doing. Okay, now the final transfer. Now let me explain this. We had some surprises, and Paul's right. We did a pretty good job of getting a watch. We got an incredible watch for a great price. I put a leather band on mine. The Jean Rousseau sent me the wrong color. They sent me a bright orange band, and I'd ordered one that's in brown. By the way, if you order your own band, ask for the curved spring bar. You want a curved spring bar with this. The ones that were made by Protexo are really good bands. I know somebody didn't think much of them, but they're very good bands. They're very well made. And what I'm looking to use them for, excuse me, is when I travel across borders, I'm going to put the original bands back on because they're leather. And so I'm not going to get jacked up at customs asking about a Gator band. This one is from AB P Concepts Paris. They had a big sale, what was it called? The Black Friday sale. And so I got it for a great price. And then it was they got it to me, pretty quick. So I'm happy with that. The other ones, my one from Jean Rousseau will be here directly, I guess. I had to get the right color for that. There we go. That's where it belongs. This watch is it's just been incredibly good. Once I found out that it passed the chronometer test, and it wasn't adjusted for chronometer level, but Agenor movements are so good it passed it anyway. That just, I don't know. That impressed me. Okay. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, Hong. Those things. The other thing you didn't figure out are two other things. The value of the Swiss franc went up, and we have to pay everything in Swiss franc. The price of the movement went up because um, Agenor was jacked with increased prices. We had a lot of increased prices, plus the fact, and this is my fault again, nobody else's. People buying multiple watches. The second one was 65 instead of 75. I shouldn't have done that. That was a big mistake on my part. Um, but I figured that the benefit from the multiple watches was other kinds of things. By having a larger, higher number, we could get a better price. Well, maybe down the road we will, but that was a bonehead move on my part. Um, the other thing too, just on this final transfer, it's going to be $800 per watch. We could have done it for $1,000 per person, but since we're paying it per watch, I thought, well, it'd be more equitable because most people just got one watch, and so it's going to be per watch. So even though I have one that's already been delivered, and so does Victor, both of us are going to have a $1,600 payment so that we can get the kitty back up to where it belongs. Um, this is one of those things that going out blind and with a lot of things, the recovering and so forth from the pandemic, the worldwide inflation, and God knows what else. Not to mention a war started in the middle of all of this, which screwed up everything else too. If you have any Russian friends, tell them to cut it out. That's was, I like Russians, but I don't like Putin. Um, Hi Donald, how you doing, man? Okay, so all right, so everyone is going to get a transfer request for $800 per watch, and we've got to get that in so that we can get our watches. Um, I'll get a I'll about we'll aim for a week from tomorrow. Okay, so sort of plan that, and I'll send out the request to everybody, and that's per watch, not per person. So if you have one watch, it's going to be 800. If you have two, like I do, it's going to be 1,600. Same for Victor. Same for other people with multiple watches. If you have more than that, it'll be more. But that's the way it is. Okay, now, like I said about the cases should be ready. They said they'd be ready by the end of November. I'm going to lean on them. There's to be a very strong one, and reminding them that we've got another 2 watches coming up next year. So we're good. We're not a, one trick pony. And I think that's important to the whole thing. Um, ah, this is one that I hate to bring up, but I better. This is only for the US. When I got my watch shipped to me, I was able to get the exact amount of what it would cost to ship a watch to the US. This is from Mike, the Mike in Switzerland, Swiss Mike. And it turned out it was 165 Swiss francs, which at the current exchange rate is $179. Originally, we had planned that it would be with a courier, and the courier would send them all to Mike Margolis. Now, the price of the courier is over $1,000. Okay, they'd all go on one shipment, but it would not be cheap. Then Mike would ship them out to everybody in the US at $200 a pop. So we were talking. So here we have $179 per sent by FedEx versus about almost 400. And so I thought, well, it's just too much. I mean, we can't afford that. It would be nice to do it that way. There's one of the things I think, if you're receiving your watch in the United States, let me give you a piece of advice. One thing, I'm changing my address because if they see it coming to a corporation, then they get all excited about something. So I'm don't just to me, Bill. I'm for the shipping person. The other thing that I suggest is that to set up an account with FedEx. I have had an account in my name, and I was talking to the person who deals with clearance and watches. And at some point in our discussion, she realized that I had an account there, but Sandlight didn't. And so my advice is open up an account. It won't cost anything with FedEx, just a simple account. If you already have one, even better. But as soon as they found out that I had an account, it was all clear. So, and then they'll send you a letter. This is FedEx being FedEx. They'll send you a letter, and there's a little link on there to pay it on the link. And so you can do that online. It's very easy. Why they don't do it as soon as they get it and save a whole lot on mailing, I don't know. DHL and UPS do it that way and makes life a lot easier. But I think I'm sure FedEx would like it. But anyway, so this is for the US. So instead of costing whatever about $400 plus the customs charge, it'll be $179 roughly, with the plus the custom charge, which I think is $89. There's not a whole lot we can do about that, but that's and I think it would be per watch. Okay, so what do you got here now? Okay, Hong. Well, this be the final one. It's either the final one or you can shoot me. Okay, that's all I can say, Hong. I've looked at everything. I've gone over everything. I don't want to have to do it again, saying, "Oh yeah, well we need $20 more a piece" or something like that. Believe me, I don't want to do that. But let me do one final calculation to make sure that I'm not over or underestimating. That's that's all I can do, Hong. Does it cover the tax duty to the end location? No, it does not. It doesn't. I mean, they're different for every country. I mean, it's like in the United States, it's supposed to be like 1.2%. Canada, it's a lot more than that. In Europe, it's a lot more. In Asia and some places it's a lot less. So I'm not going to calculate that. When it arrives, you'll get a bill for that. So it does not include that. I mean, there's it. I don't think there's anything that I could any way that could be done without some kind of combination that I don't even want to think about. What I will do, I got to make a final check with Mike in Switzerland, not only about the U.S. because the U.S. prices I think are pretty clear since they actually sent me one. What I do want to find out is the ones that are being sent to Europe and the ones that are being sent to Asia and Canada. Just the shipping costs, not the duties. Okay, and then I'll be able to sort of recalculate the shipping and make sure that 800 will cover that. So before anything else, I'm going to do that, and then I'll send out the notice on that. What is the courier package? Okay. The courier package, Hong, to the United States is very peculiar. A long time ago, they decided that they were going to charge a lot for the case, especially steel cases. And so what we did on there, we had a very small amount assigned to the case and most of it assigned to the movement, which is also true as well. So there was, I think, the overall amount I put down for 7,000. The reason for 7,000, we had 75 and 65, and that was what I used. A lot of this other stuff wasn't part of the value of the watch, but rather the VAT and some of this other and other things that went along with it. But so I put it down for that. The other thing that they have to include was our case, and that I told them what it was made of, that it was, a moo cow, and so don't worry, nothing exotic about it, and it looks it. So that shouldn't be a problem either. Okay. Yeah, they are, believe me. Donald. Yeah. Donald, I see, like I said, but let me tell you, of all of the shippers, FedEx will always find something. I mean, it just something. Okay. I don't know what the deal is. I gave everybody the number. There's a special number that you call at FedEx if there is a problem, and that number is for the people who deal with nothing but watches. They have a special bunch of people that deal with the watches. When I got mine, I did everything I could to ingratiate us with it. Told them what a great job they did after they held it up for this may have been illegal dumping. Like, oh, for Christ's sakes, you know, you don't dump watches like this. You dump watches that are very different. But that's another story. They saw Sandlight. They figured, oh, here's this big corporation. So, like, I learned my lesson. It was sort of a good thing they had it. Now, that's basically what I'm gonna have to calculate it on, and I'm gonna redo everything. If it turns out that it's a little more than 800, it's only because I did a closer calculation. There is a little buffer on it in case I miss something. Anything left over will be sent directly to whatever new account we have because I don't want it. All right, I got to have tax problems anyway. If there's anything left over, a little tax problem, not a problem. A big tax problem is a problem. So it's just, it's something. This is, look, guys, this is the first time for all of us, not just me. Um, but it's, I learned a heck of a lot. I think next time around, I'll be able to, the guys who are going to be handling the money, who is not me, I'll be able to at least give them all the information I have. Okay, Sean, what's up? If any unforeseen expenses come up, then it is what it is. Yeah, thanks, man. I hope so. I see. That's what I'm trying to do. Is that I I tried to cut it as close as possible, and I cut it way too close. And then other things that I didn't really, like the VAT. I wasn't planning on that when we had our last one. I wasn't planning on this. The differences we were at equity with the dollar and the Swiss franc were at equity. Now it's the Swiss franc is at 7% over the dollar, so we got hit with that. Then that stupid VAT. Those things happen, but I don't know. I tell you that I still am not happy with the amount that we paid for the cases. They're all paid for. They were about $2,000 a piece, which is way too much, but we had such a specialized one and so forth. This next time around we'll be using the same cases, so maybe we'll get a break on that. I know we will on the development of it. But the other thing I'm hoping we'll get a break on is the price. On the new case, I'm going to ask I got to ask Matthew if we can just have a really nice case without too many whistles and bells, so they don't have to stretch it. The whole thing that we have is stretching this belt they have. It's a great thing. I mean, it really makes the watch look cool, but gets expensive. Okay. How much USD in the parcel value? Like I said, I put it as the total comes to 7,000 Hong, 7,000 US dollars, and so you have to add up. You have to have the price of the well, this is for the US. It may be different elsewhere. So I'm just telling you what FedEx shipping is to the US, and that's they want the price of the strap, the price of the case, the price of the movement. One of the ironies, if we all had gold cases, it's less in the US because they felt that, the US companies at the time, they weren't, and this was like, you know, 60, 70 years ago, and they haven't really changed anything since. Yeah. Okay, guys. Let me see if we got anything else. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hughes, I think you're right. Or whoever Tourbillon is, I get mixed up. Is that you, Hughes? Tourbillon? It's a cool case. It really is. The other thing about our case, it's so unique. That's another thing I like about it. Hi, Micro Bakery. I'm wondering if the stretching of the belt on the case would make it difficult for other watchmakers to reassemble the watch. Oh God, probably. It probably would. I mean, let me see. No, I don't think so. I had asked for a screwed-on case, but instead they have a popping case. So right below here, there's a part that you pop off the bottom, and so it's below the belt. Okay, punch below the belt. But this watch, you guys are gonna love it. It's one of those watches too that the more I have it, the more I like it, and it's sort of been, yeah, sort of the other watches. I love my watches, but this one, I simply every time I time to change watches to rotate them, somehow this one always ends up next in rotation. So you guys are going to like it a lot. Victor will tell you also the same thing. Okay, Hater, what's up? What about people picking up the watch in person to avoid VAT? Picking up in person, you don't avoid VAT. In fact, you're guaranteed VAT. If you pick it up in person from Agenor, you got to pay VAT there, believe me. See, the only way you get a break on VAT, Hater, is when they ship it out. So if they ship it to you in Holland, by the way, congratulations on the win yesterday. If they ship it to you in Holland, you will not have to. Well, I guess it wouldn't. It was already paid VAT. The VAT has sort of already been paid. It's sort of part of the DNA of the watch, the way things went. If you pick it up yourself, if you go to Agenor and pick it up yourself, you won't. They won't ship it to you. I'll put it that way. I don't know if you'd have to use sort of the Dutch Underground Railroad to smuggle your watch across the border so they don't charge you Dutch VAT. I don't know. Victor did pay VAT. Well, he didn't pay any VAT, anything more than anybody else, I don't think, because we're all paying the same thing. That's a good question now. Okay, what do you, Paul? Do we know what Swiss Mike put as the value? Yeah, that was the 7,000 that was put. Yeah, but see, there was no. This is the funny thing about it, Paul. Hang on a second. We've already paid for the case. Were paid for about half of the movements. What we have left to pay for is there's about 50 bands that we have. They sent us 20. So we have that. The casing, that's 135 Swiss francs per watch for casing. This is so we don't have to put it together ourselves. Agenor hired a watchmaker to do that. There was, on my watch, for some reason, they charged me 1.5, like I had 1.5 watches for casing, and I don't know why they did that. I got to talk to Nicholas about that, but they better not on all of them because that doesn't make any sense. So the casing is 135, and there's VAT on the casing charges too. So those are the things that we have to deal with. You're going to have to speak directly to Agenor, Hong, if you need spare parts. Now they're supposed to ship us an extra set of hands. When they shipped me mine, I didn't get my case or my hands. They just shipped me the watch because they figured, well, I had a case because the outfit that made the cases for me, that Hater, since I was paid for it, they said, well, we're going to send you one. And they did. They did a nice job on it, on our case. So this will be with your watch, and there should be an additional set of hands. I'm going to remind them of that in there. As far as other parts are concerned, let me tell you, Agenor made it clear from the get-go that they will not be doing service. They will not be servicing the watches. One thing I would suggest, there's a very good video on that Jean-Marc Viderec did on how to use the Agenpit regulator. And this is for regulating both the spring and the balance and the swing of the balance, the beat. So make sure you have that. I sent out a link to everyone on that a couple different times, so you should have that. If not, you can Google it, and there's a little YouTube thing that shows you exactly how that's regulated. As far as parts is concerned, though, I don't know. I don't know what I think maybe what we ought to do is I'll talk to Nicholas about that because I don't think they want to be bugged by a bunch of parts. So maybe they can provide us with like some enough parts so that somebody has a problem, somebody can we'll have somebody hang on to it and have them sent out to you, something like that. Maybe Hater would like to do that. Okay, one other thing too. This is let me see. Oh man, yeah, Hong, you're right. I mean, there you have a very special gearing on that. I hope that they have some extra ones at there, but you're right. That's something that I just don't know. What did Owen say? Okay, I think you can reclaim the Swiss VAT when you take the watch out of Switzerland. It is the import duty and VAT. All right, that might be a good idea. Um, you can see. Here's the problem with that, Owen, and maybe I'm wrong about this. All of the VAT that's been paid is sort of like inside the watch. It's the VAT for the hands, for the dial, for the case. That we paid VAT on. The We didn't pay. This is sort of funny. We didn't pay VAT on the case. I don't know if we'll have to when they send it uh, from Switzerland, because I was able to pay for our packaging, our pouch, through an American bank they had in Miami. So there was no uh, exchange charge or anything. That was very easy to do. So I don't know what they're going to do about that either. Um, and these are good questions that you have that you know, I hope everything hangs together. Okay. Um, oh, and what I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's in Europe right now. Whenever I bought, like I was in France, when you go to on the way home at the airport, you have all of this paperwork, and all the paperwork you have is a VAT on the entire product. So my wife got a scarf, there'll be something on it. If I get a watch band or something, everything we buy, you can ask for a VAT form. When you get to the airport, then you give them that form. But I don't think they're going to have that on all the different parts of the watch. And I think that's what the dilemma is. And I think that's why we may be well served by having some kind of Swiss entity where all of that VAT can be reclaimed. Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to pour cold water on it or anything. That seems to be the reality. Yeah, you have to get a new watch. There aren't going to be any new watches. That's the whole thing. This is it. There are no once you get your watch, that's it. There are no more. This is a real limited edition. Now, when we next year, when we do the Guilloche version, then there'll be another watch. By the way, too, I translated the Zulu hour into French, and it comes out Air Zulu, which I think sounds a lot cooler. I put it up there. Heurre is pronounced air. Uh, That's as best as I can do anyway. And since it's a pilot's watch, that's pretty cool. So that'll work out. Oh, and okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. Oh, and how would you like to be a corporate manager for that? Yeah, that's something else. Paul and the guys working on it, I'm sure that we'd be glad to have that. By the way, that reminds me, we've got, this is for the next watch. We've got two people for doing the transfer coordination for Europe. We have two for the US, and we have zero for Asia and Canada and Australia. So we need two people, one for each watch, to do the transfer coordination on that. So somebody wants to step up, that now's the time. Okay. Yeah. Um, there are some different ideas that when I talked to Nicholas initially about that, um, what he said he said, well, we could put like another sub dial, have a second dial, and then on the other side have an hour hand, and that I think would be pretty. I don't know. Would I don't know why I didn't like that idea. I was hoping we'd have a retrograde. But another option that I saw that might be really, really cool is having an hour hand with two different lengths. I saw this. I'll put it up on the websites that we can discuss it. But it had 24 hours. It had the first 12 hours and then the second 12 hours. And the way they did it, they had let me this is I'm going to giving you a precise mechanical drawing of what I had in mind. And I saw this was done. You have something like this. You have something like this. You have a an hour hand. This would be the GMT hand, and then the shorter hand would be the first 6 hours here. Now remember, this is an hour hand, not a second hand. And then after the first 12 hours, this hand would come around and would go on the upper one. I'll send you a picture of a couple different ways of doing it. There's also one that uses a 3-arm second hand that's really cool too. That's by Daniel Roth, and that's another way of doing the same thing. The other, of course, to me with Agenor, one their classic is the retrograde, but here's some other options if this would work better. We can talk about that more once we get everything behind us. Just an idea, though. No, no tourbillon. That's not it. That's not what that's simply when I first mentioned it, they said, "Oh, how about this?" And I said, "No, I think we want a retrograde." But if it would be too expensive, then there are other options than just having a boring hand go around with the different hours. Also, too, it'd make them bigger to see if it had sort of these offsets. I'll show you the option. We can have it any way we want to. Again, it may cost us way more than we want to pay, and so these are some options that I was considering that would be we could still use a round thing. And like I said, that was an off the top of his head kind of idea. But I'll put it up on. I'll put up some of these things up on both of our our platforms that we have on WhatsApp and on Facebook. Okay. Yeah, we. Oh boy, this is not happy with Voutier and Caton. I'm really not. For I don't know, I seem to be dragging their feet a little too much on this, and of course, we all want them to do a good job, but I don't. There's no reason we should be the bottom of the barrel unless they have a contract with, for 2 million cases from somebody. Noose Bomber. That's our Swiss Mike. we have Swiss Mike and Chopek Mike. Chopek Mike is the one here who's one of my neighbors, and Swiss Mike is Mike. Oh God, I forgot it already. Newson Bomber. Okay, all right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get off an email to Voutier and Caton. They'll get it the first thing tomorrow morning, or well, they'll get it, in 15 minutes after I'm finished with it, but they won't look at it until tomorrow morning. So get them off right away. I'm also going to be I'm going to send Mike Newsenbaumer. Also, I'm going to send him all of our addresses and all of the people. And in the 3 groups, with the first one going to Asia, Australia, and Canada, second to the US, third to Europe, and ask them about those prices. What I've got to come up with is sort of a find out that'll take care of all of that shipping. If you have 1 watch or 4 watches, the shipping will be the same, because you get this giant box and there's plenty of room for more than 1 watch. I don't think that'll be a problem. That's all I can think of. I want to get it all done too. Yeah, I know. We'll unleash old Haynes on them. God, no. No, I don't think they would ever speak to us again if we did that. One of the things I found out, and that's sort of cool, Voutier and Caton, they follow everything we do. I've noticed every time I put up a post on Instagram, or I put up one there's always something by Voutier and Caton saying, good stuff. So that's a nice thing to have good relations with them. So I just want to get it done. I'm like the rest of you. I want to get my second watch. I want everybody to have their watch, and all of the people on the waiting list who are waiting to get a watch to buy, get them. So you can recoup at least the price of a little more than 1 watch. So anyway, okay. Is there anything else that I can do or that you can see that needs to be done? I'm going to let Paul do the report from our discussion with the Swiss accountant. Okay, that's going to be, I think that would be a nice thing to have Paul and anybody else to want to write that up to do it. But I'm going to be in the conversation just to be in the conversation. But I think that Paul and Fadi and those other guys will be a big help there too. Yeah, I will. They'll put up. We'll have people with placards marching around their building. Okay, guys. If there's nothing else, we'll just shoot me a WhatsApp message or through PM on Facebook, whatever you want to. So if you need something. Take care.